Start streaming. All right, we're gonna try and help out somebody that I know. This is Jeff's iPhone XS that he's been working on, and something happened and he asked me to help him out. So this has been in my queue for a while, and I'd really like to get it off of my desk in advance of the holidays. So I'm gonna do a quick stream because I'm sure that Jeff wants to know, where did I go wrong on this iPhone XS? Because according to Jeff, the way it started out, it was a pretty classic iPhone XS that had a short circuit, where the short circuit was actually on the bottom board. So iPhone XS has a top layer and a bottom layer, and the original problem was on the bottom board. That should be a pretty easy fix because you don't need this bottom board to get the data out of the phone. You can use a different known good bottom board. But he ran into some trouble, and he said that he found a short circuit around the Tigress or the Yangtze chip. I think he means the Yangtze chip. That's this guy right here. And he got into some trouble. So let me check to see if this stream is working. It looks like I can see somebody on chat over here, so I think that that's going to work. And let's dig in. So where did he mess up? Let me see the note that he sent me talking about what he did. Found a short on the bottom board, short on the interposer, so that's that middle layer. I bought an iCloud locked board, and then I found a short on Tigress, and I replaced it several times. So Tigress, replaced it several times. A short on Tigress would be pretty unusual, so I'm not sure what's really going on there. But this is the chip that I think he means. This is the Yangtze chip. In the older, like iPhone 10 and earlier, it's Tigress or Tigress 2. Upon prompting it to boot, I'm getting a current draw from 0 to 300 milliamps with every Tigress I replace. Please take a quick look at it and let me know what I'm missing if you can find something. I'm sending both layers in case you need them. Thank you for your help with this. All right, Jeff, here's the thing. I looked at this when you first sent it, and there's a lot going on. So let's dive in, because I think, you know, all of us get into into this trouble, especially when we're, you know, watching a video and it seems like it's all very straightforward. And then at home in our hands, we can get into trouble. And a lot of times when you've got a board that seems like it should have one problem and then you are ending up finding there's a bigger problem, a lot of times it is some kind of variable that you introduced in the repair. And your best tool for that is crisp visual exam. So let's take a look here at Jeff's iPhone XS under the microscope, and we're going to look around in this sort of Tigress area. All right, so we're going to take a look around together, and let's compare it to another known good. So this is just another iPhone XS that I have laying around here, and we're going to look back and forth between these guys. Okay, so let's kind of look from far away. On Jeff's board, we've got a relatively nice looking Tigress or Yangtze chip, U3300. And let's look at the installation of this guy. So this installation, when we look at the tiny little balls, that looks good. I'm looking to see, is the chip sideways? Do I see bridging or anything like that that would tell me this is a bad installation? And I don't. I think you did a good job of installing this chip. Everything looks pretty normal. What is not normal? Well, let's start with this row of components that are missing. So we're missing everything along this border, and let's compare that to our known good. And in our known good, we have a resistor up here. That one's probably probably not known good. Its resistor looks a little beat up. It's a little bit even hard for us to see. I might have to pick another known good. All right, so there is a resistor right here in the top. Yours is missing that resistor. And then we can see capacitor, 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 capacitor. So these guys are all capacitors, but that top one is a resistor. Now we definitely think differently about a missing capacitor versus a missing resistor. A missing resistor is always going to cause a problem of some sort. So the first thing that we need to do is to look up and see, do we need this resistor for data recovery? What does it do? So we're going to find that out by heading to ZXW. So let's go to ZXW and see if we can figure out what is the identity of that resistor. All right, so U3300. And if you haven't seen ZXW, you don't know what we're talking about, go to iPadRehab.com and click the supply store, type in ZXW. That's how you get a license code for this cool software. So we are looking at a resistor called R3380 is missing, and it is connecting PP battery VCC with PMU VBAT V-Sense. So this sounds like it's some type of a resistor that is going to allow the PMU, let's click on it. Does it go to the PMU? It does. That allows the PMU to kind of put a finger on the pulse of the battery voltage and determine, you know, whether it's good or not. That probably needs to be there. So that's one that we're definitely going to have to put back. Now we can look on ZXW and it tells us this is a 12 kilo ohm resistor. So we don't have to use this one. We could go get another 12 kilo ohm resistor that's in this size and we'll be good. So that's one problem that we will have to correct. So missing resistor. Now let's keep on looking with our crisp visual exam and see what else we can find. All right, so we're looking around. We're going to say this guy looks all right. Back to Jeff's board here. So we're missing these guys. Now we have a component that is not quite in the right position right here. So we can see this guy is kind of knocked up off his pad. So let's take a look. Let's zoom, and let's kind of ask ourselves, do we care about the fact that this guy, get a little more light in here. Is that on? Yeah, all right. Do we care that this guy has kind of been nudged off of his pads? When I look at that, I don't think that he's in danger of touching anything else. I could use my multimeter to probe around a little bit. We're going to say that's okay, but we are going to notice it and think, all right, this guy got nudged. Now, if there was a chip, let's say a BGA chip right here in this position, then I would worry that that chip had been sort of pushed, which might cause bridging underneath. But in that case, on this guy, we're going to say, poke, poke, leave it alone. This guy, we're going to say, seems like he's in his right position. Leave it alone. That guy, leave it alone. And then we are missing 1, 2, 3 components over here, plus another one there, another one there. So let's go ahead and just deal with that corner and ask ourselves, do we care about any of those components that are missing? Is that something we need to hunt down? So let's go to ZXW and look those up as well. So ZXW, let me bring you guys over. ZXW, here we are. And let's take a look over here on the corner. All right, so over here on the corner, we are missing a bunch of circuitry. This capacitor, this is a small capacitor. We're not going to care about that. These larger capacitors that we're also missing, I don't want to be missing so many of them. We're missing kind of a lot, but we'll say less of a big fish to fry. And then we've got this guy here. So this is called Yangtze Boot 1 and Yangtze LX1. This capacitor is unusual because it doesn't have any foot on ground. So this is not the filtering capacitor that we knock off on a lot of these recoveries. So now we've run across a component that may actually need to be there that is indeed missing. So we're going to say that could also be a problem. So we're going to put that on our fix list. We got to fix that as well. Let's go back and look, and that component is indeed present on our known good. All right, what else? Now we're really kind of getting into the physical exam area where I think our bigger fish to fry are our bigger problems. So let's look at Jeff's board again. And now when we come in this area, one thing that really jumps out at me is this solder ball right here. So we've got a solder ball, and that tells us that there was like a lot of heat in between these components. So now I'm no longer convinced that these components are actually solidly anchored and soldered onto the pads on the board, because they've experienced pressure that has caused them to pop out the solder ball that's right there. So that guy tells me that there was heat in this area, and that makes me worried. All right, looking over here in this corner, this is the kind of stuff that really should jump out at you when you're looking at this. And I know you spent a lot of time on this board wondering, how did I mess this up? What did I do wrong? Well, this is where that really crisp microscope view is so important, right? We got a component, we've got 3 components in a row, and this one at the top is nudged over entirely. So that guy is not in his right position. He's supposed to be 3 in a row, right? So if we look at ZXW or another board, it's supposed to have 1, 2, 3, and a big capacitor there, and then these 3 components down at the bottom. And if we look over at yours, we see just a party, right? So that guy is nudged. So let's look up these 3 and this whole area and see if we need them and if any of those guys are going on our fixed list to ZXW. So let's look at ZXW, and we've got something going on here. All right, so now R3045 is completely different than C3045, and you know, here's why. C3045 is a capacitor that is on NTC, charger NTC. NTC is going to stand for negative temperature coefficient. That's going to be important because temperature is always important. These devices are engineered that if they can't understand their temperature, then problems are going to happen. So this guy, we're going to have to nudge it back over here, but it is a capacitor on that line compared to R3045, where resistors are always going to create an open line if the resistor is indeed missing. So your resistor is still there, but the above capacitor is nudged over. I think that you're going to need both of those in order to have an intact temperature sensing circuit. This is just a special circuit. Okay. And then down here, you're missing this guy as well, which we can see this is another matching component where it's a capacitor that has boot 2 on one side and Yangtze LX2 on the other. So he's going to go on our fixed list as well. All right, you've knocked off the large capacitor there. We don't care about C3310, and these guys down here are still intact. Now let's turn our attention to L3303. So L3303 on the board, let's look at that. So L3303 is a big coil, and it's one of 1, 2, 3, 4 coils, and it looks like maybe something has been going on. Let's take a look at it on an angle. Now let's look really closely, and this is where we want to use that crisp visual exam. I'm going to see if I can turn up my brightness so that you guys can really see this guy. All right. That, as we look at, let's kind of make the board really straight. Notice that the component, the coil, if I asked you which side is up higher, which side is up higher, A or B? Which one's up higher? What are you going to say? Well, B, right? We can tell that that coil is like this, right? Or, you know, whichever way makes sense, right? It's cocked up on one side, which means that coil is really not on the board and it's not able to do its job. Well, what is his job? Well, let's go find out. Let's look at a schematic, and I'm going to show you sort of these various coils that go with the Yangtze chip, and let's kind of get a sense of what do they do. So let's pull up a PDF. All right, here we go. We're looking at right here, U3300. This is actually in an iPhone 10, so it's very similar in the iPhone 10s. As we look at this guy, we can see what does it do. This Yangtze chip's job is to take in charger voltage. So PPV bus E75, charger voltage from your USB or a charging coil, wireless charging coil, either one, 5 volts from there, and it's going to convert that 5 volts from the charger down to right through here where it says buck converter section of Yangtze is going to use coil 1, coil 2, and it's going to create VDD main. So Yangtze creates the main power rail using your charger voltage and these coils. Now Yangtze can also create VDD main from over here, PP battery VCC. So battery VCC also feeds into the Yangtze chip, and the Yangtze chip can create VDD main through those two coils, L3340 and L3341. Now let's look at the sort of like connection line between the two coils, and it's called Tigress LX mid. So let's kind of remember that. And now let's go back to our board view of the iPhone XS. Remember, this PDF is just for the iPhone X. Similar, but not quite exactly the same. So ZXW on the iPhone XS, and we can see that on these coils we have, you know, one side VDD main Yangtze, and the other side is that Yangtze mid 1 LX. And then over here, same thing, mid 2 LX. So all four of these coils, 1, 2, 3, 4, they're all doing that same function of creating the main power rail from either USB or battery. Those guys are going to have to be there, and we can see with our eyes on your board, one of them is open. And so that's going to go on our fix list as well. But even that, I don't think is our main problem. So let's go look at our, dig down a little bit further. Let's get rid of this and get rid of that. And let's turn down our brightness a little bit and see what's going on. All right, let's check it out. Okay, now let's go on a hunt for what is likely the biggest fish to fry. So it looks like there is a missing component over here that you probably took off on purpose, but what really jumps out at me is the two resistors right there. All right, so what do you guys think is going on here with these two resistors? So we've got these two guys that are definitely not in the right positions, right? Those two guys, in fact, may actually be touching. In fact, they may even be touching this large capacitor at the top right here. So right here in this section, 1, 2, 3, that is really scary where you've got two resistors. That's data lines that are going to be talking to each other. Let's go look those up on ZXW and see if we can get a hint what's going on with them. So here's ZXW. We'll pull that back up. And we're going to go say, who are these guys? All right, so the large capacitor, C3391, would be ground, potentially touching one or the other of these. All right, so let's look at the first one here, R6822. On the left side, we have PP1V8 IMUS2. And on the other side, we have a really important line, I2C1 AOP SDA. So what does that mean? Let's talk about that. So what does that mean? This top resistor is a pull-up resistor, meaning the I2C line, that is the CPU's communication channel. It's the CPU's radio to all the other chips in the device. The way that that line works and is able to make a 1 or a 0 to send messages to other chips from the CPU depends on that line being held in the high state at 1.8 volts at all times except for when the CPU pulls it down to make a 0. When the CPU lets go, it springs back up to the high state. CPU makes a 0, lets go, it springs back up to the high state. So that line has to be held up in the 1.8 high position, and the way that happens is through this top resistor here. So what can't happen is that resistor with its 1V8 cannot touch anything else. It definitely could not touch ground, for example. If it did, the whole phone would be brain dead, the same as if you drilled a hole in the CPU. So we can't have this resistor touching anything else. certainly not ground. So that area I think is really important, and it's going to be part of our fix list. Okay, so as far as I can tell, when I look at the rest of the board, everything seems like a pretty normal. Maybe this board got a little bit wet, but this all looks like a fairly garden variety, fairly normal iPhone X. Okay, so what do we have to do now? We have to just sort of go around here and correct this damage. But I wanted you to understand, Jeff, you know, just what happened here. A lot of things are missing that can't be missing, that have escaped our notice. So this really should jump out at you as, oh, I got a lot going on, and things that are open or in the wrong position. Okay, let's see. It looks like we are, you know, what did I miss? You missed a lot. Dang, I missed everything. Okay, so now what are we talking about? If you're just joining us, we have gone over a friend, Jeff, sent this board in where he's really been banging his head on it, and he's been wondering, what did I miss? This started out as what he thinks is a simple short circuit on some component that was around this chip. He's replaced this chip a bunch of times, and this board does not turn on. And he was like, what did I miss? Take a look at it. So we've gone over all sorts of things that have had to jump out at us as, oh, you can't knock off a resistor right there. That's on our list. You can't knock off capacitors that don't go to ground. You can't nudge a temperature capacitor over and leave the resistor there. It's going to get confused about temperature. And you definitely can't have a coil that's sort of half up and half down. And the things that we're going to correct all that, and then we're going to hope that this board hasn't been overheated. I'm a little bit worried about that. There's some slight signs of too much heat that are sort of around this corner of the CPU. But overall, the chip replacement looks good. So I have hope for this board. All right, let's dive in, and I'm going to take this chip back off just to give me clearance so that we can start correcting some of these little things around this board. All right, now time for the dramatic, I don't know, do we have like a background track? That would be cool. If I had a background track, I would play it right now. All right, so we're gonna jump in and get this guy off. And let's see, how long does it take to knock this? Oh God, did you hear my hot air? My hot air sounds like it's having a stroke. Stop that. Come on, you gotta man up here. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Everything is fine. I don't know about those hook tweezers. Let's get a better pair of that. All right. I've been meaning to edit the Taylor Swift video that some of you guys know about. I did actually meet the Taylor Swift guy, and that chip was totally fine, Jeff. He had a hilarious story. It was very sad, but it was very, very fun to meet with him. His name was Ken. So he came up and he did let me chat and record his story and what happened to him when he went to, the long saga of when Ken went to see Taylor Swift. So I need to edit that video. All right, let's see. I also I recorded a video at least 2 years ago around Christmas time that we never edited, where we called up people and we're like, hey, you know, we're giving away your data for free. Merry Christmas. And then I just never edited it. I need a solution on I need like cognitive behavioral therapy to force myself to edit video. Is that a thing? Then we'll see. All right, so did Taylor Swift guy say it was okay to get a copy of the concert? Well, his phone was only, due to his long saga that you will hear in the video, his phone was nearly dead. So he has clips, and I saw them. One of them was really cool. Taylor Swift came within 10 feet of this guy. He was super jazzed. And I'm sure it will be fine. Now, if you are a Swiftie and you're so inclined, you'll find out in the video that sadly Ken was not able to get any friendship bracelets. Is that what they're called? And I thought that was a very sad part of the story. So if you have a friendship bracelet that you want to send to Ken, you can send it to iPad Rehab. We will make sure that he gets it. All right. But that whole story, man, that was a hoot. All right, so I'm feeling that these pads are pretty, they're kind of oxidized. They're sort of resistant to getting this nice lead-free solder on them. They will, but it's just not quite easy. All right, so we had to do, that guy is on our fix list. I think this oxidized little guy over here. Now, I don't know for sure that these two little tiny capacitors are indeed required to get this thing to boot up, but they look like they might be. Oh, that resistor was not on there. Look at that. It's just kind of floating around. And that guy is definitely not where he's supposed to be. All right, let's see. Watching you as I'm watching the Eras Tour movie. Yes, well, we did hear a lot about that. My daughters made fun of me. I was like, I didn't realize that it was called eras, like multiple eras. And I was like, is it Eros? What are we talking about? Total idiot, had no clue. All right, so I'm taking these guys off just because given the status of this board, I don't have a way to know that they haven't been nudged off and mixed up. So I'm not 100% confident that those guys are like kind of who they say they are. So we're gonna sort of replace them with the ones from the known good board. All right, all of that's fine. Now where I'm pretty concerned, let's make sure that you guys can actually see this. All right. Sending you a bracelet, Ken. Don't fret. Ken will be absolutely thrilled. Okay. Rebel Jetty, first time Jedi. I can watch a live stream. Watching from Nigeria. Well, hopefully you guys are all prepping up for a super fun holiday. My kid that's in college just came home last night, so it is very, very fun. All right, so I think I'm gonna have to take this coil off with hot air and reseat it. This guy looks like he has been, I don't know. Has he been off? Maybe not. All right, let's check that out. I care less about these individual capacitors and more about the little guys that are around them. These have just been moved a little bit. All right. And I'm definitely concerned about those two guys. All right. What to do? Okay. Let me use a little bit of hot air, and I'm going to have to take that coil off and get that back on there. So let's do, I think that's a good starting point, I think. All right. Oh God, the hot air. Oh my gosh, it's just absolutely dying. All right, here we go. Wow, what I'm looking at as far as chat is massively delayed compared to what I'm doing live. This is the first time that's happened, and I'm not really sure what's up with that. I'm kind of curious. Like what it looks like I see on YouTube is a really long time ago. Like, when was that? That's like super weird. All right, can I do that? No, it's just like super behind. Okay. I can't really tell what you guys can see anymore. The time is 4:52 Central Time. The time is 5:51. All right. 5:51 Eastern Time. So that makes sense. Okay. Maybe that's just weird. I'm not really sure. Okay. I like to try to check to see the angle that I'm looking at. Is that basically what you guys can see? Yeah, it looks okay. All right, let's take off this guy because I'm concerned about him. You definitely are getting taken off. All right, so let's just kind of do a speed cleanup. All right, so that guy is not on there how he's supposed to be. And we're gonna take out our little dingleberry. Yeah, so these, Jeff, when you've taken this coil off and you've put it back on, but he was never really soldered on. When we look at the bottom of it, see there's complete oxidation on that one side. That guy was never going there at all. And when we look at the actual pads, there's no like juicy solder on there. So there's insufficient surface prep. So this is one of those things like we talk about in class where, if you're struggling to get something on the board, it's always going to be about surface prep. So this is really insufficient to have a dude on there. All right, you got to have a little bit of juice on it. All right, I'm going to just make sure that these other coils aren't like barely on there as well. All right, I'm going to take this guy off because I just don't want it to touch the neighbors, and I don't really care about him. And then these two guys, I do want to just make sure they are not touching. All right, so that guy, I think I'm gonna get rid of him. All right, and then the first guy is not touching anybody. He's definitely, I don't know. Looking really, really close. Let's drill down and just make sure that he's where he belongs. All right, I think I'm gonna have to use my multimeter to ask whether or not there's a connection. I don't think so, but I'm just gonna make sure that my little resistor guy is not talking to the neighbors. So I'm gonna go continuity mode and just make sure that these two spots all right, good. Not talking to the neighbors, so I'm going to leave him alone. I think he's otherwise okay. All right, so now let's go start picking up guys and start putting them back where they belong. So let's get our known good board. And a lot of this stuff is all covered in underfill, so it might be a bit of a challenge. This first guy is ugly, but he's what we have, so we will take him sort of as is. All right, so I think I'll actually take the chip off on this guy first so that we have plenty of clearance. Donor board. Let's remove these things. All right, and let me check over here on chat. Okay, someone needs to help me understand why people want grainy cell videos of Swift from Guy's phone. Was he the only person there with the camera? No, he was definitely not. All right. Low delay for you. Hold the board with something. Okay. Central European Standard Time. Okay, here's a question about the world that embarrassingly Americans, which tend to be really, U.S. centric, don't know. I was thinking about this the other day. It gets dark here at 4:30 p.m. in Western New York. So we're getting dark at 4:30 p.m. in Western New York, and it's just so dismal. The kids are going to school. It's pitch black dark. The sun is not coming up until nearly 8 o'clock in the morning, so 8 a.m. And the only thing that makes this constant darkness at all palatable is the fact that it's Christmas time and there's all these like beautiful lights and it's just super festive. So there's that. And then I was thinking about living in Australia, where in Australia, the long nights are going to be at the other solstice, so June, right? So then I'm thinking, how do you deal with it in Australia if you're like super dark, it's dark all the time, is in June? And you know, for us, June is summertime, and for you guys, June is winter. And then it made me think, in Australia, do you go to school? Do you begin school? The academic year, does it begin in September, like it does here, and end in, you know, May, so that an Australian university could do an exchange with European or American universities? I don't know. Does it? And if so, then how do you deal with the cold, dark, constantly dark winter if there's no super fun Christmas holiday? That's what I really couldn't imagine. And then for the rest of you guys, one of the things that I've really liked doing this holiday has been watching movies set elsewhere at Christmas time. So we watched there's one, I guess, on Netflix that was Norwegian Christmas. Did you guys see that one? I think it was called Just Another Christmas. That was such a great movie, and it was really fun to make the Norwegian meatballs and then the rice dish that they have there, and then watch the movie and eat the Norwegian food. And I thought that is so cool to celebrate other traditions and cultures and things like that. So what are some other Christmas movies that I can watch with subtitles that take place somewhere not in Western New York? All right, let's see. Winter here means, that better not say negative 40 Celsius and snow for 5 months. Australian winter may mean 0 degrees. Does that say negative 40 Celsius? That is pretty crazy. All right, this one person's video is a very well recorded concert of some sort of holy grail. It was very interesting. Imagine if you were still on daylight savings time. It would be darker. No one cares about Taylor Swift. Game of football. A guy who chose the username Game of Football doesn't care about Taylor Swift.
Football is the most viewed now that Taylor Swift goes to the game.
Sunday says, you're just jealous that football is now only viewed because Taylor Swift goes to the game. Well, there's that. All right, so I don't remember if this little guy, let me look him up. I don't remember. Is this little guy on our list, on our fix list or not? Let's go on a hunt. Let's find out. Are you on our fix list, little guy? All right, so that guy is this. No, we don't care about C3325. No, we don't. So we've already put back C3340, and then we definitely care about all three of these. We care about NTC, temperature. We always care about temperature. Charger, resistor, those two together are going to be a temperature sensing circuit. And then we always care about capacitors that don't have a ground on either side. So we definitely care about 1, 2, 3. So those guys are going to be next on our fix list. And we're going to click over here. iPad Rehab Game of Football is mad that Taylor is making football important worldwide. Yeah, that does seem to be the general consensus here. All right, so now we've got let's get rid of this big guy so that we can take off our 3 little dudes right there. All right, Greg M is in Canada, just north of North Dakota. That is probably not a whole lot different than it is right here. My sister-in-law just went to Montreal to go to the Christmas markets of Montreal. And then she got there and she's like, we booked a terrace. What were we thinking? It is super, super ridiculous right here. All right, it's almost the end of spring here. It's hot AF. Sun rises at 5 a.m. and get the hell out at 6:30 p.m. I still want to know, if you're in Australia, are your summers off in the winter or not? That's what do you guys go to school year round? Who is here in Australia? Or are you just out there enjoying your long, luxurious summertime, days that last forever? Oh no, I don't want to lose my dude here. I don't want Game of Football to tell me, well, you should have had a board holder. That would suck. All right, where's my spot? All right, that guy's going right there. He can probably get on there with the mini hot tweezers, I think. Let's see. Sure, he can get on there with the mini hot tweezers more or less. Today is a day that I did the unthinkable. I drank coffee after noon. It's one of the things you can't do when you're old anymore, and I did it. I did it anyway. I drank coffee after noon in addition to deciding to do like super tiny soldering live. So if you're watching this video and it is not 6:02 p.m. Eastern time on December 20th, I did this absolutely live. All right, which let's zoom in so that you guys can see what I'm looking at and maybe change our brightness. Now my son's major is optics, whatever that is, so I think it'd be cool. I think once he kind of knows about optics enough, he should come in here and like make this nice, right? Make it so that you guys can actually see what I'm doing, you know, without me having to monkey around with it too much. All right, 2 out of 3. Let's go back and get that third dude. Where is he?
I have to go. This is stuck it up a little bit.
What?
Stuck it up a little bit.
Did you disconnect the battery?
No. Just set it there. I gotta go.
All right, then, yeah. I told you it was like super hard to boot. Did you talk to this guy?
No.
Huh? Nope? Okay. All right, it's booted. I'm gonna leave it to church. He boots. You just gotta wait 20 minutes because it's an iPhone 6 or 6S Plus or something like that. Guy that sent a 6S Plus rush, you need to tell us your passcode ASAP because your phone is very difficult to boot. All right. Now we're gonna get our last one of our set of 3. This is our other little boot capacitor. Really hope I don't lose any of these guys because that would be super, super annoying. All right, here's my guy. And we're gonna also stick him back on with the mini hot tweezers. I'm gonna get rid of this dude that I put here that I now have like decided, not you, buddy. We're gonna use a new model. Right there. Okay, good. Great. Awesome. Okay, now the only other little dude that I need to worry about is guy over here on the end. So we're gonna go get special resistor from the end. And then we'll be ready for the coil. Sun's up at 8:40. Sun is down at 16:40 here. That is about the same here, and it's fine because look, there's lights everywhere. Lights in the window. iPad Rehab got an honorable mention in the business window decorating contest. I wish that I could take a really great picture of the window so that you guys could see, because we had the kids from the Odyssey of the Mind team made an iPhone gingerbread house, super cute, which I think we put on social media, that thing. We've got Sunday is amazing and has made over the years a little Christmas tree that is decorated with SIM trays and little pieces of cameras and iPhones, super cute. She painted it green and put little lights on it, so cute. All right. Let's get this guy back on where he goes over here. That resistor has definitely seen better days. All right, let's kind of move that on. I still want to hear some other Christmas movie suggestions that are movies from other countries. The other one we watched is the, one set in Brazil where the guy, it's a cool premise, the guy wakes up and he is waking up and it's the next Christmas, and then he goes to sleep and then it's the next Christmas. So he's kind of fast forwarding through his life, decade after decade. And it was pretty interesting. All right, so all of our three little guys are there, our little guy's there, our little guy's there. And we've separated our resistor over here. Now we've got to put back our coil, although part of me is tempted, and in fact I might do this. I might see what's going on with this. I'll do a trick. Let me put this coil back first, and then I'll show you a cool trick for troubleshooting a problem like this that I'm pretty sure that I'm the only one that does this trick. So I'll show you a cool trick. All right, let's dig up our buddy replacement coil. These guys are really difficult to move around. They do not like to be partying and jumping from board to board whatsoever. All right, so that guy is off. It sounds like our intern from the past, Ryan, is back in town. So maybe we'll check in with him while he is around. But I did ask him, now that he went off to be an electrical engineer, hey, Ryan, tell us about the orientation marks on these coils. And he wrote up a great big thing all about it that maybe I will have him come in and share with you guys. If you have questions that you would like to ask a bona fide electrical engineer about these boards, Ryan has worked on these boards for years, and he understands, the language of how iPhone microsoldering technicians work, and you can ask him any question that you want. Maybe we'll get him to come in and answer what he has learned about electrical engineering. All right, so that guy is on there. He's not straight, but that's all right. He is definitely touching because I kind of held him down on both sides. And not touching anybody else, and really that's all I care about. Okay, so as far as all of the little circuitry, I think that we are just about ready to put back on our chip. But first, I'm going to try something. So who can remember, let's ask chat, who can remember what is the function of this missing chip? The Yangtze chip, formerly known as Tigress, now Yangtze. This guy, what does he do? What is that chip's job? So let's see if chat can answer this or not. Let's see. That implies we're on a similar latitude. Game of Football does not watch movies. Of course not. It's watching football, obviously. It's watching a little college ball, a little NFL. I'm curious as well about Australia. Australians say our climate is something like theirs. Well, it is, in opposite. But I want to know, I know that in Australia, it's time to grill outside for Christmas because it's too damn hot to be inside. So Christmas traditions are going to not be like turkeys and hams, but it's going to be, shrimp on the Barbie and, lobster and stuff like that. All right, I'm going to say that is reasonable as far as correcting problems on this thing. All right, now charging. Charging is kind of the function, but what we talked about, it does charge, it is the charge IC, but its job that we care about, we don't care if this phone charges, right? If it were just a charge IC, we would have thrown it out and we would not even be here because the phone doesn't need to charge per se, right? We don't need to charge in order to get the data off of this phone. So if it's a charge IC, we wouldn't care. So what function does this chip have that we do care about? Why do we need this chip on the board? Let's see, USB recognition. Nope, that's a different guy. Here we go, Nick, switching 5 volts to battery VCC power. Very close. So what we talked about before. Let's actually look again at the schematic because it sounds like maybe we were had different people here. It's kind of been a while. So let's go back and let's actually look. What is the function of this guy? What does he do? Let's go hunt him down. So we're going to pull up the iPhone 10, close enough, the iPhone 10 schematic. So here he is, right? So this is Our chip is U3300 Yangtze chip. U3300. What does it do? That we care about. So what it does is it will take 5 volts from USB or 5 volts from wireless charging coil, either one, a 5 volt in, and it uses that 5 volts to create the main power rail. That's what it does. So remember the 2 coils, L3340, L3341. So this guy will create the main power rail by buck converting the 5 volts down to about 4.3 volts and generating main power. And it also will do the same thing for converting battery to the main power rail. So battery power also plugs into Yangtze chip, and it takes the battery power and it shoots it out and generates the main power rail from the battery. So let's say for us, this guy's job is to generate the main power rail from the battery or the charger. It generates the main power rail. So what's the trick? What can we do? Before I put this chip back on, I want to check to, number one, make sure that I don't actually have a short circuit on the main power rail. But one thing that I like to do sometimes when I'm troubleshooting Yangtze problems is to just say, what if I make the main power rail by just putting a wire from the battery to the main power rail, just temporarily, to see if the device has a main power rail, will it turn on? So remember that these devices won't turn on just from USB. They have to sense that there is a battery. So let's just see what happens if we just kind of make a little wire to mimic the function of this chip temporarily to make sure that we don't have other things to troubleshoot before we put this chip back on, because then we're going to lose all of our clearance if there's other things that we need to do. So let's give that a try. Let's make a plan. So how could we do that? Is it Australian software? No, this is Chinese software, ZXW, which if you don't know where ZXW or you don't use ZXW, go to iPadRehab.com, click supply store, and then you can type in ZXW or anything else that you see us using and find out what it is. In Australia, sunrise is 6 a.m., night starts at 9 p.m. Jealous. Christmas, some do roast, others barbecues. But here's our question, Australia. We want to know. In Australia, the long nights happen in June, right? At the other solstice. So when we're like partying it up, it's summer, we're at the beach, we're off of school. School has let out. It's June, it's summer, it's 4th of July, fireworks, Independence Day. That's what's going on in the US. For you guys, that June time is this awful, dark, constantly time. Is that also the time that you're off of school, right? So for the whole world, isn't it true that we all start in September, we go to school, and we get out in around May, like every college, and then we come back in September. We have this like big break. Do you guys have your summer break in winter over the June solstice where it's nothing but night all the time? Because that would suck. That would be a terrible summer break if there wasn't even a super fun festive holiday. Is there some other Australian holiday that's like right around June, June 21st, that's like how we can bear these terrible dark nights like Christmas is for us? That's what I'm curious about. Okay. Some phones, the battery is connected directly to VCC main. Yes, iPhone 11, it sure is. Okay. Crack for ZXW. Oh my gosh. All right. In Brazil, we have December to January and a July break. School breaks are July and December. Okay, that makes sense. All right, so we're going to make a plan here on how to manually connect just for a minute with a wire. We're going to pull up our ZXW. So find ZXW, we're going to demote the PDF. And since we know the function of this guy is to connect battery and main, let's just do it ourselves with a wire temporarily, because we will need the Yangtze chip for data recovery. It is going to be part of our USB interface to actually get the data off. But Let's look at it. ZXW. Where could we put a wire to connect battery, and how could we connect that to main? So here is battery, and now let's pick, where is main power? Let's see, main, okay. That's our main power. Where's the easiest way for us to kind of make a short little wire? So let's do wire from here, A1 to, I don't think we can go to the top of that guy. I'd like to go there, but I don't think I have good clearance. My board is like really oxidized in that spot, so I don't think I could easily get a wire right there. Maybe I could though. Let's see. Let's look at this resistor guy though. Maybe it would work just to go right there. Let's look at the other side of that resistor. Show me ZXW, and let's look at this resistor and see if we could just feed battery directly to main that way. All right, where's my ZXW? All right, so this is main, and this is VDD main Yangtze. All right, so VDD main Yangtze, VDD main itself. So this resistor R3303 is a 0.0025 ohm resistor, which means we can make it just a wire right there, A1 to A2, and that should give us what we need. All right, let's make sense. So we're going to make a wire from A1 to A2 to just connect ourselves, the main power and battery power like this, and see if, let's just kind of see what this thing does. So that way we can troubleshoot any problems before we put this chip on here. All right, first I'm going to just check and see what is diode mode on my main power rail. So let's check. So let's do red probe on ground. I got 0.33 there. I got 0.33 there. All right. Seems like main is not short to ground, so let's go ahead and stick our wire there and see what happens. I just joined the stream. What's with the title? Was there a blooper? This is a phone that belongs to someone that I know who was just like, I am just killing myself on this board. It had a short at Tigress, which is AKA this chip here, Yangtze. And he's just kind of messed with it a lot, changed the chip a bunch of times. And he was just like, I don't know what I'm missing. Can you look at it and just tell me what's going on with this? And so we found a bunch of things that seem like they could have been problematic, and we've corrected a lot of that. And so now before putting a Yangtze chip back on, which I think his Yangtze chip itself was fine. So I don't know exactly what was the first problem that made this phone not boot up after he put on the Yangtze chip. So yeah, it was what should have been a fairly straightforward problem that, this happens sometimes. These devices, I call them when they get overworked. And for me, when I get a device where it's just like killing me and I've spent a lot of time, like this one here, if I find that it kind of doesn't do what I think it should, or something that I don't really understand, then I know I really need to look at it with fresh mindset, fresh eyes. So I'll let it marinate. So I have a habit, I'll stick it in one of our iPad Rehab organizers and wait. It has to just kind of marinate until, like I tell people, until I'm not mad at that board anymore. And then I can work on it again. Kind of has to go in timeout. All right, I'm still in the middle of building my PC. At least it's not like this. Okay. All right, so now we've corrected some things. I'm going to go ahead and connect this to DC power, which, let's see, where's the DC power window? You guys should be able to see that. Easy power, easy power, easy power? Yeah, there we go. All right, so let's see if we can make it so that you guys can see. what happens without that Yangtze chip on there. And I really don't know that you can just create a main power rail like I did with this jumper. Just doing it to test. If it doesn't work, you know, I might put the chip on here anyway. It's definitely going to need the chip ultimately for data recovery. All right, let's look back over here. Oh, probably we should have looked at the top of the board before now. But here we go. Do you know anywhere I could get the battery replaced on an iPad Pro? I'm in Norway. Well, you know, I just made Norwegian meatballs and they were really good. What do you think about the movie Just Another Christmas? Oh no, that was the Brazilian one. What was the Norwegian one? I don't remember. Battery replaced anywhere but Apple. That's what I would say. Go to your local shop. You're welcome to send it to iPad Rehab, but that would probably take a while with international shipping. But we do international repairs all the time. All right, here we go. We can see that we have a 10 milliamp current draw, which, you know, may be a problem, maybe not. But now let's try to prompt it to boot. Let's see what happens if we go up here to, oh, we're missing. This must have been the original problem. This looks like a little main capacitor that looks like it's got a red pad. That means it was burned up. That was probably an original problem. All right, let's see what happens. Prompting to boot. All right, prompting to boot. Let's see. How come you guys can't see what I'm seeing? Let me click this. Open. All right, see that? Prompting to boot. It is flashing, 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 flashing. That's not right. Something is not right. We are seeing 0 and high current, 0, high current, 0, high current. So something is wrong. As the PMU attempts to send its voltage down, all of its little baby power rails, something is wrong. Let's see if we can figure out what is wrong by looking at the, where is my thermal camera phone? I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is. I need to locate thermal camera phone. You're not thermal camera phone. Where is that thing? Uh-oh. I started using a different phone today, and it's totally black. My phone right now is lost. Where was it? I feel like I talked to somebody. And then I would have put it certainly nearby me. Aha. Here we go. All right, I am going to look with this. Let's see if we can see what is flashing hot. See that? 0 high, 0 high, 0 high, 0 high. That is the PMU trying to do something, trying to do something, trying to do something, and it's not able to. All right, let's see. How do we make it so that we can all look at this together? We need a hand cam. All right, hand cam. Okay. And zooming in. See that? Look at that. This is the kind of repair that has now bigger fish to fry and might have to marinate. All right, let's see. Look at that. Can you see that? Trying to figure out where's a good spot. Right there. We can clearly see a coil that's getting hot. Oops, right there. Hot, 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 hot. Right? So what we're seeing on the DC power, which stops, yeah, you guys can still see it. What we're seeing on the DC power is anytime the PMU says turn on, okay, and then it has a line out of the PMU, one of its outputs is short to ground. And anytime it just kind of throws electricity into that shorted line, that creates high current, and the PMU has some over voltage protection that goes whoop, and it stops. And then it just continues to do that. So we can see that again and again and again and again and again. So it doesn't necessarily, tell us anything other than time to get out our multimeter and see what line is short. And then once we find that, we'll have to figure out where is it short. Now when we see the coil itself getting hot, that is a little bit of a clue where the short might be. So let's take this apart. Let's get our multimeter out. Let's look under the microscope at this spot. So we are looking at the second coil from the corner of the PMU. All right, so that's done for that experiment, and I'm glad that we didn't put the chip back on. So Jeff, hopefully you can see that your chip work was in fact fine. Your chip was on there fine, and even without your Tigress on there, this board is doing the exact same thing. Sounds like what you were describing to me in your note, which was that the board keeps going up to about 320 milliamps. Yep, it says, upon prompt to boot, I get a current draw from 0 to 312 milliamps with every Tigress I replace. Well, that doesn't have anything to do with Tigress. Your Tigress was fine all along. You've got a problem here that's different. All right, let's go get the multimeter out. So let's go back to this board. And we're going to look at it under the microscope. So let's get rid of this. And let's see. All right. Let's see. Oh, I do not like the Northridge guy. I think he is a jerk. So I never watched any of his videos. And if I had a glare problem, I would definitely steer well clear of him. All right. This guy is getting hot. So let's look him up. All right. This guy right here. Let's see. Right there. ZXW. Let's see. ZXW. Who are you, ZXW? We're going to go up here and see. This is the coil that's getting hot. It's L2730. So L2730 on one side goes into the PMU as expected. This is going to be a PMU output. PMU output, that is PP1V8S2. PP1V8S2. So now we're going to use our multimeter and just confirm that PP1V8S2 is indeed short. So let's look at this. PP1V8S2 is supposed to be apparently 0.304. And let's see, what is it? 0.304 at this top side of this capacitor. And we're going to go red probe on ground. PP1V8S2 is not short. That does not bode well at all. Oh, you guys can't see that. Let me get rid of ZXW. So we're looking at that cap there, and check this out. It's supposed to be 0.3. And if I get my multimeter out and I do red probe on ground, and I go on, one side of this cap is ground and the other side of PP1V8S2 is indeed 0.3. So PP1V8S2 is not short to ground. So why would this coil be getting hot if PP1V8S2 is not short to ground? What do you guys think? Let's see what chat has to say. Why is that coil getting hot if indeed that line is not short to ground? Let's see. I always catch your streams an hour in. All right, let's see. Let's see. So what do you guys think? Why is this guy getting hot if indeed it is not short to ground? And also, let's kind of look at what's on the opposite side. How would that come to be like that? And let's look on the opposite side. And on the opposite side, we've got this guy over here. And on the opposite side of our Yangtze area, looks like we've had a lot of monkeying around and work done over here. Missing components. This looks like it's had some serious work done. I don't know if some of these guys have been off. That guy looks kind of chewed up in that area. And then we've got this guy. All right, chat. What do you say? Let's see. Does chat figure it out? Hot due to passing current to the short. Okay. All right, so passing current to the short. So it could be that this coil is getting hot. The coil's getting hot because it is the thinnest wire in a line that has a short to ground. So where is the actual short to ground? The short to ground is not apparently in the output of that coil. Let me see if I can find this on the schematic so that it makes more sense. Might be able to. Let's try it. All right, so this coil is L2730, and L2730 is PP1V8S2. Let's see, L2730. I'm going to look up and see if in the schematic that I already have, if there's also by chance in the iPhone 10 L2730. And there is L2730. Okay, so L2730, let me show you guys the PDF. All right, L2730. All right, here it is. L2730 is one of many different buck converters that are how the PMU takes the main power rail as an input, and it buck converts it down to all of the various baby rails that it shoots out. And one of them is this one right here, PP1V8S2. So PP1V8S2 is itself a power rail that's going to go around and do lots of stuff. In fact, I think we saw it earlier today as the top rail for one of the CPU data signaling lines. So it's an important rail. So why is L2730 getting hot? L2730 is getting hot because it's the thinnest wire between wherever the real short to ground is on that line. It may be that PP1VS2 is not short to ground, but it may be bridged into another line that has a very similar diode mode reading, right? So it could be that under the chip or elsewhere, two things are connected that shouldn't be connected, right? It could be that something touched, PP1V8S2 over here, and maybe at the CPU or somewhere else that it goes, created an electrical connection, and that would be really bad. So one thing that I'd like to do is I would like to find out what is the actual voltage on PP1V8S2. It should be 1.8 volts. So even though this line is itself not short to ground, I want to know if it has 3 volts on it, meaning it's bridged to a 3-volt rail somewhere else, or is it 0 volts, or what is it? And then we can try to figure that out. I would definitely be worried that what's really going on is that it's within or under the PMU itself is, kind of where our short to ground is potentially on PP1V8S2 or short to whatever else it's connected to. So next step, let's go ahead and do a voltage test to see what is the voltage on PP1V8S2. All right, let's see what's before the coil, the PMU. Okay, so now we're going to take this down and let's find a good spot to kind of do that voltage test. So we'll do the voltage test, we can do it right there. So I'm a little bit concerned because from all of this work, I see a little bit, not too bad, but I see some signs of excess heat. See how these are a little bulgy? The solder is a little bit raised. And that makes me concerned that maybe there was too much heat combined with the underfill here at the PMU. I mean, at least it's over on this side is not much going on, so I'm a little bit less concerned. All right, so let's go ahead and just find out what is that. So I'm going to put I think I'm going to move my DC power back over here so it's easier for me to see since we already talked about that. And let's bring in this voltage here and connector up. All right. Short at Tigress. No short at Tigress. There's no real Tigress on there now. All right. This board's got no Tigress now. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to prompt it to boot. Prompt it to boot until I see that same kind of gasping. Yep, so I've prompted it to boot. Now I'm going to voltage test. I do miss my ability to show you guys voltage on screen, but that multimeter died. Actually, the multimeter is okay, but the software that let us show that definitely died. All right, it's 0.2, 0.2, 0.4, 0.2, 0.1. All right, so we do not have 1.8 volts. We do not have 3 volts. What we have is about 0.2 volts is actually being held by that line. All right, so now the next thing that I would like to think about, and I'm not sure exactly what path I want to take here, is, one thing that we could do is we could take off this coil. If we took off that coil, then that would isolate a potential, short here within the PMU. And if that was the only thing wrong, then we could inject our own 1.8 volts over here on the healthy pad. So we would just be saying, you know what, I'm going to DIY my 1.8 volts. We could do that. What do you think? We would have to find a way to safely get this guy off without bothering any of the neighbors. That's a little bit of a challenge because there's quite a bit of underfill. And if it comes down to us just saying, yeah, the PMU is actually bridged together in like multiple spots, and the first one that we know about is this one here, then we're going to end up having to replace the PMU anyway. I don't know. It sounds pretty fun, though. I'm kind of tempted to try it. What do you guys think, chat? We'll leave it up to you. What should we do? I think there is a leak. Raise the impedance of the capacitor. I expect it will be a low value. You have to raise the coil to determine which end has a leak. All right, 1 vote for take the coil off. Short the coil and use heat gun to find short. All right, I got another vote for that. Sounds like an idea. Okay, let's go ahead and take this coil off just so that we can, just for fun. Why not? We're going to take off this coil. We're going to attempt to take off this coil to see if we can isolate the problem to within the PMU itself, where that line, let me show you on ZXW what we're talking about. What we're talking about is on ZXW right here. If this guy is actually bridged to, I don't know, anything else, then if we take this coil off, L2730, we would just kind of leave that problem as a dead end, doesn't go anywhere. And then we could inject our own 1.8 volts here, supplying it for the rest of the system. It would be definitely fun to try. So let's see if we can, what would it take to get that coil off? Let me get rid of my ZXW and we'll get that off. Now it is kind of getting to be longer than I like to do in a live stream, so let's try to take the coil off and just see what is the diode mode reading, at least on the other side of it. All right, so now I'm gonna need some kind of a saw blade. So I'm gonna use the iPad Rehab saw blade. Could probe both sides and see which has the short. Well, you can't really probe underneath an underfilled chip, otherwise that would be a perfectly good idea. All right, I don't know where my little saw blade is that I need. It's been a while since I needed my saw blade, and I feel like the last time I saw it was when Mark was here. And I feel like we let a student use it, and now I don't know where it is. All right, I'm gonna have to get a new saw blade. Let's see. Is there gonna be one on here? All right, I gotta steal one from one of these student buckets. Who has a saw blade that I can steal back? Let's see. Not over here. Not over here. Dare I go back to Mark's station? There's no way that Mark would have left it here. But let's check. I'm gonna check back here in Mark's domain. Where would Mark have hidden a saw blade that he didn't want me to find? Mark's definitely going to be into hiding things in plain sight. I see his stash of magnet trays. All right, taking too long. Ooh, that looks like a good candidate. Oh, there we go. Found it. Found one. All right, don't tell him. If you see Mark, do not tell him that I was ever back here at all. He can find out by watching the channel like anybody else. All right. Could probe both sides and see which has the short once the coil is off. Yes, that is indeed the plan. Okay, now we're gonna have to get rid of some underfill. So we're gonna get some hairdryer heat and see if we can just pick at this. I think getting this guy off is a pretty significant challenge without also bothering the underfilled PMU. It really probably would be easier to take off the PMU. I just don't think I know where one is. Otherwise, I would kind of be inclined to do that. The other thing is that I just would like to sort of prove that this line is short by exactly what we just said, that it's the inside, but my board holder, I think I'm gonna have to get a more substantial board holder. I'm using the Omnivice, the beloved Omnivice, and I was just using it as a placeholder weight. I think I'll actually have to screw it in and hold it, let it hold on a little bit. All right, there we go. All right, let's see. All right, Jessa is sniffing around in Mark's drawers. That is true. I don't know if I would have put it that way. Mark is busy with, this is such a busy time of year because everybody wants data recovery as the ultimate Christmas present. And it is really kind of coming down to the wire. Like right now we can still deliver some as email, and we will try to do that. It is really fun for us as well. It's like really great, like the people that are getting last minute data recoveries that are going to be just the greatest Christmas present for people that think that there is no way. I can't see if you guys can see that. All right. Yeah, you guys can see that a little bit. This is a time where being right-handed is a bit of an advantage. Like, I'm gonna have to switch this to my right hand. They're so funny, like certain chips are kind of like left-handed and certain ones are right-handed. Like, you have a slight advantage if you are right-handed on this guy. This guy isn't quite the right saw blade, it's a little bit too thick. And this board holder isn't quite the right board holder either. All right, let's go for one side of the green tweezers to get that a little bit more sharp. So the only thing that I don't like about this one is that, you know, the coil itself is a wire, so whatever the diode mode reading is here is the same as whatever the diode mode reading is under the chip. All right, that's getting a little bit better. So did you know that underfill is actually cured by heat? Which is why the hairdryer method tends to be pretty good at getting it loosened up enough to come off. Oh no, that guy is... All right, chip, it's too far damaged. Gotta go with the plan B. Yeah, that chip is too damaged to be okay. Right there, a little too aggressive. All right, so now we have no choice but to take off the PMU, which makes sense. It's less satisfying though, because I wanted to be able to kind of prove what was going on under there, but that's just not in the cards. So now we got to take this whole underfilled chip off and take that guy off and replace it. Let me see if I have that's kind of old, a 10S PMU. Let me check my bucket of PMUs. If not, I think I'll just take it off and then confirm that diode mode is normal under there. And I will have to, I think, go on a bigger hunt than I have time for to finish this guy. These are all like 13s and 14s. PMU, a bunch of these late model Hydras. I don't think I have one around. iPhone XS PMU is kind of an unusual job these days. All right, well, let's take the PMU off and then we'll just kind of check our diode mode, confirm that it's normal, and then let's see. Are you sure it's damaged? Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's definitely damaged. Rodrigo, hello. All right, so we are going to just take the underfill off, and I really wish I had a better board holder, but I don't really want to go on that big of a hunt. All right, Omnivice, I'm gonna have to crack-a-lack it in. All right, so now we can be like a little bit more aggressive. because we are no longer trying to preserve the chip. So how did this get to be a problem to begin with? This is, who knows, this could have been lots of different causes of how did we get to be in a 1v8s2 bridge to something type of problem. One way that it could happen would have been heat at the PMU, but I don't know that. That doesn't really, this board doesn't look like there was like heat all over the place. Like some of them do. Like, oh my God, we have one that's, you know, really been around the block. I think my saw blade here is a little bit too thick. It's not the one I was hoping for. It was just like a similar one. So we'll have to just go with the one side of the tweezer. The reasonable plan B. All right, and then when I'm taking off like a PMU like this, I don't care about any of the little caps, but I do care about the resistors, exactly the same way that we've been talking about this whole stream. All right, let's get this. I'm trying to think, when was the last time I did this job and where was I? These are hard to take off of a receiver board or, you know, like a donor board and put it on this board because they are covered in underfill. So getting a new one is pretty much the by far and away the best strategy on something like this. When was the last time? We used to have to do this a lot on the iPhone 10 because this area was directly on top of where people would be messing around with the acorn chip, which tends to go bad a lot. Or not go bad, but get water damaged. All right. So I'm curious, how many of you guys in chat like to use my blast off method to take this chip off? I always use the blast off method these days for something like this. All right, we're seeing. Gotta go soon, just stopping by to say hello. Oh, I gotta go too. In fact, I think I'm gonna take this chip off and then I will go on a hunt. And then what we'll do is put the new chip on. I would think that that is likely going to solve this problem, and then put a, you know, check and then put a new Tigress or Yangtze chip on. And hopefully Jeff will feel pretty good about, you know, this job. Where he really went wrong was putting Tigress on when I don't know if Tigress really ever had a problem. It could have been that Tigress was getting hot when this was always the problem all along over here. I don't know. But that he really didn't, you know, the problem was not his putting on of Tigress or Yangtze chip. That seemed to be fine. What are some other ways that we could have gotten into this trouble? It's possible that this was just the original fault. I didn't get to see, you know, what it was doing initially. Every now and then you will have water damage will kind of electrocute the PMU. And that can cause a problem like this. I do wish that I had my like native thing that I use to take this stuff off. I kind of wonder if it would be fun just visually to make like some TikToks. Taking off a chip like this. All right, let me see what else I can do to get this off. But I don't know much about TikTok. I am way too likely to get sucked into watching TikToks constantly that I've never downloaded the app. Seems really data miney. I do wish that I had another one of these because I think this is going to be like a cool story start to finish. And I hate making a stream that's like a solvable one that's just kind of like a lot of labor, so it makes a long video, and then not having the chip I need. Maybe it's in iPad Rehab supply and I could steal it. Let's see. This is so boring that this is why I like to, I don't know, do edited videos, but I can't make myself edit them because same reason, it's just too boring. All right, coming down the home stretch. All right, that is probably good enough. Uh-oh, hot air machine sounds like it's really cranky. Okay, underfill removal, achievement unlocked. And now for the super fun part. Blast off! We're gonna blast off this PMU. God, I really wish I had another one of these, but I don't. All right, let's see, chat. What do you think about the blast off method? All right, let's see. Are you sure it's damaged? Oh, I'm definitely sure it's damaged now. All right, so I'm gonna blast this off. I'm gonna crank my heat way up. Crank it up. Crankety, crankety, way up. Okay. And my nozzle, let me see if I can move this around so that I can actually put a nozzle on here. Let's see. That's probably as focused as it's gonna get. Nozzle. Let's see if I could come around this way. I'd prefer not to shine the heat directly at the CPU. All right, that seems good. Come around from the back, and I'm gonna put a little poker, and I'm gonna get really close, not that close. And I'm gonna blast this chip off. Boom, done. Ooh, that's hot. All right, blast off, achievement unlocked. All right, and now we can see that, look at this, look at what we have under here. Ooh, we can see the original problem, yay! All right, I think this is a great learning case to begin with. I'm gonna take that out so that we can drill down so everybody can see what is going on. All right, so here is the blasted off chip that I have just taken off. And when you do that sort of blast off method, it just kind of lifts the chip off like, you know, immediately. And we can see that there is solder underneath the chip. Look at this. See that? See that? Let's really drill down right on that. It's almost like when you just take a chip off where the board drops away, it preserves a snapshot of what it looked like under the chip right there. Yeah, so this is, look at all these little solder flecks that are under there. Right here, this. That is that overheating, right? Heat was there that caused those things to swell and bridge together. So we have multiple, blobs right here that are bridged together. All these little tiny solder flecks that are in there. That is all a consequence of this stuff. All right. Achievement unlocked. Okay. So now we can clean all this up, get a new chip there's some of these, pads that are missing are almost all NC, except for the ones that likely go with that 1V8S2. I'm not really sure. We'll have to do, put back anybody that's required to be there, if any. Clean it all up, get a new chip, reball it with low melt, stick it on here. Then go over here, get one of these new Yankees, stick it on there, and everything's going to be fine. But I don't think that I have another one. I don't have another one on me, and I think I'm out of time. So there you go, Jeff. That's what happened on this one. It was definitely some blobs under your underfilled PMU, and there's no mechanism for that to happen other than sadly heat. All right, how did that get there? That got there from heating. That's like what happens when these balls sort of like blow up and they heat. It's the equivalent of, let's see if I can find one. The equivalent of, let's look right here. See how on, this little component right here, there's a solder ball. See that solder ball that's just sitting there? There's a round solder ball. I'm going to brighten it up so we can see right here. Do you see there's a solder ball on the edge of this guy and that guy and this guy? That solder ball came from heat that makes the solder just get really expanded and pressurized, but it's all hemmed in by the underfill. And it has pressure, but it's hemmed in, and then just can't help but to just release the pressure. And that's what happened under the PMU, right along this edge. It's the equivalent, it's that same problem, except instead of being on a component adjacent to the chip, it was actually under the chip itself. So that's the deal. All right, so you can clean it up with, I turn the iron on, I guess. And clean that up. I would really like to have another one of these chips right now, but I don't think so. All right. So what I'll have to do is get one, and then I think it would be kind of a boring live stream. So what I'll do is I will make a community post with a picture of this one once we get it booted up. I doubt that there's going to be other problems. Now I think that those 3 missing ones are likely ones that we need. So that's a little bit of a question mark, why those guys there are missing. That's unlikely to be from the blast-off method, because the blast-off method is fine. So I'm not really sure about how those guys, which I think those 3 missing ones are likely our 1V8S2. But let's find out. I think we'll all be curious about that. Are they, or are they just 3 random NCs that don't mean anything? I don't know. It looks like, I don't know. All right, let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 9th one. Let's turn that down so you guys can see. Right there. Number 9. Let's go check it out on ZXW and see. Is that our 1V8S2 spot? All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nope. They are just blue NCs, so they came off because they had no roots. They will just lift off with a chip because there's nothing there that's anchoring them down. All right, so just for fun then, we can make this measurement of 0.299 and make sure that we have 0.299 now. So 0.299 on the 4th pad in. 0.299, let's just check on that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 0.299. And over here, I really wish I had one of these chips. 0.299. All right, all is good with PP1V8S2. I'm gonna see if there's any back there. Oh, it was underfilled. Yes. All right. I'm gonna go check. If we don't have the chip, then we're done. Hey, what's up? Live streaming, what? I'm trying to fix the phone. What I'm trying to do right now is hope to find a PMU for an iPhone XS. I see that you're not a subscriber to my channel. Oh, Christmas do-over. Super fun. Drinking eggnog and go to bed. That does sound pretty fun. All right. Okay. Well, I'll see you soon. I don't know, guys. I kind of got a better offer. All right, I'm going to check back here. I don't know where Christy keeps all this stuff, and she definitely does not like for me. Oh, I found a PMU. I found one. I found one. I found one. Okay. All right. I think she's going to notice if I take one. Don't tell Christy. If you see Christy, don't tell her. All right. I found one. I'm going to stick one on. Normally, I'd like to reball it down to low melt, but I got to go home and start drinking eggnog. All right, let's see. Is there anything else that I need to do to get this ready? Not much. All right, I'm going to stick this on here just to make sure everything's fine. Gotta just finish this story. This is really the curse of board repair. It goes like this all the time. Okay. Let's just clean this up. So normally I do like to reball with some kind of a low melt, but this one is actually kind of like not really on top of a lot, so I don't know. That, if I have to do that, then I definitely would let this marinate and come back to it. So I think I will just try and get away with just getting this on the normal way. And if it doesn't work, then I'll definitely say no way. Okay. All right, chat, do you think I should just kind of let this marinate so that I have the time to come back and reball this with low melt and get this chip on here really nicely? Or should I just stick this chip on here right now? Let's see, chat. What would you say? All right. How did that get there? All right. I found a really awesome eggnog recipe. It's called Gregnog. You should definitely stop watching this chip and go Google Gregnog. So it's like really fun. You can like make eggnog with a real egg, which is like crazy. And it's super good. Okay. That is ready for a new chip that I am going to stick on here in the normal way. This better be a match. So I've stolen it from Christy, and it says PMU U2700 10S Max. Okay. Surely that's the right guy, right? Looks like the right guy. Is it the right guy? Does it fit here? That is not the right guy. Who is this guy? I don't know this guy. All right, that's not the right guy. That I better just lay low. Are these all the same? Rut row. All right, let me see what am I doing in here? 10S PMU, right? This is a 10S PMU. 10S PMU. PMU, right? Is this an iPhone 10? Nope, it's a 10S. That's not the right chip, Christy. Nope, not it. Who can tell me what this is for? Because I don't know. Google Apple 1091 338 S00456 and tell me what does that even go to, because I don't know. All right, let me check and see in these other bags. She has it underlined 456. What does that mean? And then she's got this also saying 456. Unless that means 10S Max. Let's see, is this 10S? All right, chat. How come this isn't the right one? So I'm not the only one that talks to themselves while working. I'm not talking to myself. I'm talking to you guys. Oh my gosh. Gonna have to break out the jumper wires and make it work. Christmas family stuff. That sounds pretty good. I think I'm gonna go make some Greg Nug. All right, this is the same chip. What is Apple 338S00456? Because it does not appear to be the iPhone 10S PMU like it's supposed to be. That is the same chip, 456. These are 456s. 10S PMU, 456. iPhone 10R 10S Max. 10S Max. Okay. Well, they're all 10S Max. Boo hiss. What is it supposed to say on top of the chip for just the 10S that's not Max? Christy. I think this is stuff that I probably shouldn't touch without asking Christy. That's also 456. It sounds like 456 is the one for 10S Max, and I think that every single one of these in here is labeled 456. Let me check. Now I really want to find one. I want to stick one on here. I want to see this turn on. I want a Christmas miracle. I don't want to have it be a 10S Max. That is just so close. Are all of these say 456? Let's see. What does that one say? Can't even read it. 456? Are you a 456? 456. Boo! All right. Well, I can't even ask Christy because I brought the wrong phone. Christy, are you still here? Oh, it's 7:16. That is a very unsatisfying live stream because this is totally going to work, except I need one for iPhone 10s and all I have is 10s Max. And that is not the same guy. And they are all 456. God damn it. Boo! Let's see. There's no way that I'm going to have one anywhere else. Maybe at home, not in any of this stuff. What about in here? 10S bucket. It is just parts, no chips. Boo hiss. Boo. That is all newer stuff. Man, all right. What am I looking for? 383. All right, I'm going to go back there and see if I see anything that says 383. 383, not 456. Is there anything up here that says 383? 309? 330? Why are there so many of these 10S Max ones? Bunch of Tigresses. Let's see. 309. More 309. More 309. That sucks. I need 338. I have everything except for what I need. Because this is not a common fault. Man! Let's see if Mark has anything. Definitely don't tell Mark that we're trying to look in his chip section that way. That is we got to take that one to the grave. Where would Mark possibly have a 10? Oh, let's see. There's a bunch of chips. What does he have in here? Geez, he has an iPhone 6 backlight capacitor. Wow, he has stuff from Jason's Microsoldering supply. Whoa, 6S baseband PMU. That's my handwriting. He's stolen that. CPU. No dice. Very unsatisfying. A 12 Pro PMU. No 10S. Specialty chips. Ooh, here we go. All right, specialty chips. This is our last chance. Mark's specialty chip bucket. 6S PMU. 6 plus. 7. All right, I'm going to take this up here. This is going to be our only possible hope, is rating Mark's specialty chip orange bucket. All right. If you supply power with the chip missing, that should at least prove that the story has gone. Well, if we supply power, which we can do, then nothing's going to happen, because the PMU, when we press the power button, what we're doing is waking up the PMU. The PMU is not there to send anything out to the power button, so nothing's going to happen. But, all right, what we have here is Mark's special chip. He has a PMU for the 6. He has a PMU for the 6S. He has a PMU for the 7. He has a PMU for the 8. 309, that is correct. He has a PMU for the 11. He has the PMU for the 10S Max, the 456. The 8 Plus, again. He has a bunch of RAMs. And then, I found one! I think I did. Let's see. This one looks like it's been, maybe it's not even in there. Okay, all right. Out with the old, let's look at the old chip though. This should be, chat's telling me I need the 383. So this says 482 is the one that I took off. Okay, let's see. 338 or 383? 383? All right, we're going to dump it out and see what do we have in here. All right, we have 2 chips in here. One is a naked one. Oh my God, what if that's like a pre-reballed one by Mark? Oh, heaven. Oh my God, that's exactly what we need. 383. But I wonder if there was a reason that he reballed it and didn't use it. That seems like it might have been problematic. And then what is this? .383. Okay. All right, chat. I'm going to do this one time. I'm going to leave it up to you. Which chip should we install? The one that we stole from Mark's bucket that is pre-reballed, presumably with low melt. So this is one that somebody has taken out, reballed. So either Mark reballed this to low melt just as a courtesy in the case that maybe one day we would need it, or it is one that he put on, took off, reballed, put on, reballed, and then said, screw that, I'm going to take a new one, and then he just kind of saved this one. Should we install the presumably reballed low melt unknown mystery chip, or should we open up and try to install the new one that undoubtedly has super high temperature lead-free solder balls on it? New or reballed mystery chip? Which one should we install? Let's see. All right, I got one vote for new, another one new, and one vote for reballed. All right, 2 votes new, 3 votes new. Okay, fine. All right, Mark, I do want to know. Mark, I'm very glad that you do not watch the iPad Rehab YouTube channel because you would be pretty pissed right now. But don't worry, we're going to put everything back. Although I don't think that you're ever going to really know that we took your iPhone XS brand new chip. All right, new chip looks new. You have a family to go see. Questionable one is going to sink time. That is true. The questionable one is just going to make us question. But this one could also be questionable because it may be, you may regret putting this on here. But it is just about eggnog o'clock. It's 7:30. All right, so we've got like a relatively thin layer of flux. That's a little bit too much. And dot goes like that. It's a little bit dark. Let's brighten her up. I'm going to stick this on here. We're going to see what happens. All right, let's get this out of the way. On the PMUs, I like to kind of line them up like more rather than less, because I don't like them to really jiggle around that much. There's less like clearance. All right, this guy needs to go a little bit south. And a little bit east. In fact, if I was ever going to braid, it would be right now. All right, that's my spot. Okay, let's get some heat on here. Take the air down a notch. And let's see if this chip wants to sit down nicely without causing a whole lot of headaches for anybody. Well, you guys can't quite see that. All right. Okay. We have to let this cool down. And then PMUs have really tight pitch, and if they shift or go the wrong way, it's really pretty easy to get a bridge. Usually that'll hit the main power rail, and so you can pick it up in diode mode before you put power to the system, because what we don't want to do is, if there is a bridge under there, we don't want to take the main power rail and send it someplace else. So let's take a look while we wait for this to cool down. On ZXW, if we have the main power rail, so let's click main power rail. See how the main power rail goes under this so many times? If there is a shift, then a lot of times it will affect one of these main power rail balls, and so you'll be able to pick it up as your diode mode reading being something like, you know, super low and not 0.33. Another little tip is, oh, doesn't say 0.33, Jess, it says 0.357 right there, I see it. And those diode mode readings, you have to take them with a grain of salt, because those were created and read with this chip off. So diode mode readings are with the chip off the board, the reading would be 0.357. But since this is the main PMU with the chip on the board, it's going to be a little bit different. So ideally, check with a known good. All right, so we're going to let this cool down, and we are going to check our diode mode on our main power rail, and if it is acceptable, then we will go ahead and put power to this device. We've still got our jumper over there. All right, let's see. And this is fun to kind of watch the resistance change throughout the system as it kind of cools down. So we'll go red probe on ground, we'll measure right over here. 0.266. And we're looking for it to be about 0.33 or something like that. 0.274, 0.275. So as this board cools down, 0.28, we're getting our resistance. We'll go up, up, up. And once it hits that 0.33, Rebel Jedi says he's confident. Jedi, Rebel, Jedi. Confident, no need to test, so we'll just call that a win. And that's it. All right, let's see. Sometimes on this last one that I just did, this one that I did before, this one I was so confident in. I did the super fun game called Full Reassembly, every single screw back before you test, and it worked. Guy is not sure about his passcode, so we gotta either use forensic tools or talk to him. Hopefully. Does it get a fan spin now? Oh, it's gonna definitely get a fan spin. All right, let's see. Either way, it definitely has to marinate, because it is, I don't even know when I started this, but 7:30 is definitely too late to still be doing a live stream. All right. 0.305, almost there. So I don't like to apply my main power until my diode mode is back up to like 0.33, but it's not going to be short to ground. So let's go ahead and see if we can pull up our easy power. So here's easy power here. Where is easy power? Show me easy power. All right. And we're going to see if, in the very least, not a pulsing 1V8S2. If we do have a pulsing 1V8S2, and then we're going to be like, I guess it was a single cap short on that line after all, and we don't know why its diode mode reading wasn't low. Also a fun story. All right, let's see. Multimeter, what do you say? One of the other things I like to say is if you can touch it, you can test it. And I can definitely touch this board. All right, red probe on ground. All right, 0.317. That is going to be close enough. 0.318. All right, I don't have any more patience for that. We're going to test it. If you can touch it, you can test it. All right, let's see. Let's live stream has been going on for so long that even I have lost interest. So we'll see. Let's plug in. Oh, yeah, this board's probably going to have bigger fish to fry, but we'll see. Okay. All right, so we've plugged in our power, and we are going to now ask it to prompt to boot and see what does it do. Does it do the exact same thing? All right, so let's watch that and let's prompt to boot. Does the exact same thing. Okay. All right, well, let's see, is 1V8S2 getting hot or something else? If 1V8S2 is getting hot, then PMU, you were unfairly blamed. All right, let's find out. Now we gotta know. All right, multimeter or thermal cam. Let's find out. I bet you it's going to be the exact same problem, and then we're going to find like some simple single cap 1V8S2 short. All right. Look at that. Same exact problem. Oh, you can't see. 1V8S2 is not short under the PMU. All right, let's get rid of this and hand cam. The good news, underfilled PMU replacement went great. Huh. Oh, where is it? How do I make it so you guys can see that? I'm just going to get out of the way. Oh, you still can't see it. No, you definitely can't see it. There we go. Can you see that? Nope. But if I do this? There we go. Look at that. Same problem. 1V8S2 is not short to ground according to what we measured. That seems to be the exact same problem. All right, now we really got to find out. I'm not having that. I am definitely not having that. All right, so let's go figure out why that is doing that. So we're going to go, let's get rid of the hand cam and let's take a look. All right, so the guy that's getting hot is this coil, and that coil goes to 1V8S2. Multimeter has told us that it is not short. .315. 1V8S2 is not short. All right, but we know the voltage is low on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to see what happens if we jump on the other side of the PMU, and we're going to inject a volt into PP1V8S2. And let's see if we can find a good spot to do that. So that is really getting hot. There's really nothing else that's getting hot. And 1V8S2, when it is short, it really does have that kind of behavior. Let's look and see if there's anything like kind of in our area that could be problematic. And then we kind of have to look under here, I think, because that's a good place for our wire, and this has a big shield on top of it, so we're going to have to look there. So let's take this off and definitely speed up. All right. I enjoy just watching. Okay. All right, let's take this guy off. I don't think anybody's ever looked under here from the original water damage. In the 10, water goes under here. Not so much in the 10S typically. All right, let's see if we can pry that sucker off. Blue guys right here. All right, 2 hours is insane. 2 hours deserve some kind of exciting conclusion for sure. All right, looks like a bunch of crap under there. It looks pretty. Oh God, what is this crunchy nonsense? Okay. Let's get a little bit of the old toothbrush and get this cleaned off. Well, I definitely don't have to do any more live streams before Christmas, because this one is like several live streams in length, I think. All right. Let's go ahead and solder a wire and inject our 1.1 volt, I guess we'll just stick in there. All right, let's go to ZXW, and I'm going to show you on ZXW that this line is not short. So why is it acting like it is, why is it not able to hold its voltage? Why is this guy not able to do that? I don't know. Is it an unstable power source because we made this little bridge here? I kind of feel like maybe we should investigate that. I'm going to stick another, I'm going to get rid of my jumper, which, by the way, I have done before, and I do occasionally jump together battery and main to eliminate the charge IC, but just to make sure that we aren't, that there's not something weird in the 10S, I think I'll go ahead and take that off. Just make sure that we're in the same boat and that we don't have this problem happening because main power itself is somehow unstable. So let's take that off. That'd be hilarious if that was the case. Wouldn't that be funny if it was like, Jessa's constantly using things like little time-saving jumpers and other monkeying around kind of stuff. And then to have one be like, yeah, and then she had to replace an underfilled PMU for absolutely no reason because of her dumb jumper. That would be truly hilarious. All right, let's stick a Yangtze on here. We're going to grab one, and then we're at least sort of all square with not doing too much crazy stuff. All right, so the Yangtze guy goes there. All right, so this is going to be kind of a chance for all of our guys to sort of settle down. I really wonder by the end of this repair, is this going to be one where this chip ends up coming off again? Or is this the final Yangtze for this guy? All right, let's get him on there. Man, my hot air is really on its last legs. I love my hot air. I don't want it to ever let me down. All right, has everybody kind of gone back home? Three little guys, you straightened up. Coil, you're not touching anybody? Okay. Now, this would be hilarious if my 1V8S2 problem disappeared. The 1V8S2 problem is a little bit weird because it's acting like a short to ground, but that line is not short to ground. So while we wait for this to cool down, let's go on a hunt and say, does 1V8S2 go under any chips that could be bridging it into something else? We've eliminated this guy because we've replaced it, so that can't possibly be the problem. And then over here, we've got this guy, we've got this guy, we've got the CPU, which would be a very sad story. And we've got the super corroded chip that is in the area, right? So this guy, U4700, which is an audio IC. And over here, we've got our buddy Hydra. All of those are possible candidates for why we might have PP1V8S2 behaving like that. So before we take off this chip, the audio IC, to get rid of variables, which is a perfectly fine solution, let's first check to make sure that we are still in the same boat with our new Yangtze chip on here, having eliminated all the variables at the Yangtze spot. All right, so let's see. I think if I were Jeff, you know, as a, hey, well, how did I get into this problem? Whoops. You know, Jeff and the whoops, I would see, oh, 2-hour live stream. Not my problem. I'd be like, I have done nothing wrong. All right, let's go ahead and prompt to boot. All right, so with our new Yangtze, thank God, we are, as expected, still in the exact same position. So this was never a Yangtze problem. Here's our easy power. So I've prompted to boot, and it keeps going hiccup, 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 hiccup. And if we look with the thermal camera, we are still going to see the same problem. This is going to be a hilarious drag if the entire time this was just, a little bit of corrosion at the audio IC was making 1V8S2 just plugged into something else. All right, let's see. All right, so we've got our hot coil. Where's our hand camera? All right, same problem. I need to find a better way to make that visible for you guys. Same problem. Hot coil. Let's, now if we've finally removed that soldered on shield, let's take a look on the top side where that shield is and see what does that look like. Okay, and we see somebody flashing hot that's kind of under there, but that's probably that coil. I don't have a good way to get that out of your view. Is it the coil? That looks like a capacitor right there. Is it? Let's see. Where's the coil? The coil is right there. Here's what I'm looking at. I'm going to get rid of this so that we can try to make it so that you guys can see. Right there. See that spot? There is a hot spot that is near the edge of the LCD connector. So right here, between these two guys. Right in front of the LCD connector. And then the question is, where is the coil? And the coil that's getting hot is way over there. Man, this is going to be like a crazy amount of work for like really 1V8S2 is not short, but I don't know what it is. All right, let's go on a hunt and let's at least dig up that area and see what we can find. All right. What do you guys think is going on, chat? Let's see. Blinkety blink blink. There it is. Hopefully it's a cap. Jessa, didn't know you were streaming. Oh, I've been streaming. I'm currently doing a Motorola G10 screen and frame swap. Just spent 5 minutes trying to connect a damn aerial. I do not feel sorry. I spent 2 hours trying to fix a single cap short. That's why I like the title of this called Whoops. All right, but I still don't know what is actually short in here. So let's we know that 1V8S2 is not actually short, so we don't know what is short. Let's see if we can figure it out, though, by kind of digging up around here, taking a look-see, and then looking at ZXW to see if we can figure out what is actually short. This is the behavior of a PMU output short. PP1V8S2 is, protecting, it's turning off and protecting my brand new PMU. All right, now we don't want to get too nuts. I'm glad we didn't use the reballed PMU, because it might not stand up to us really kind of going to town in here. Oh, so there's been too much heat in this area because these guys are loose. So we've had some, we're gonna have bigger fish to fry. These guys are loose in here, which they shouldn't be loose. Not all of them are loose though, so that's good. But right along there, that guy is loose. That's an ugly looking guy right there. There's my loose one. We might need him. I don't know what he's for. We're going to kind of look him up. All right. More power of crisp visual exam. So funny. Like, this is why I think it's so difficult to like do board repair, you know, by like teaching board repair by remote. Like, so much of it is just, you know, visual exam and detective work. This guy right here, who is he? Right? So we kind of dug up that whole area. And there is a red, pulverized looking bro chilling on this board right here. That guy. First, we're going to diode mode. Although I'm breaking one of my rules, never diode mode an ugly looking dude. No, diode mode says he's fine. Diode mode says that guy is maybe not fine. All right, let's look up those guys. 2ZXW. All right, we're gonna find out who these bros are. All right, so up here, this guy is a filter between PP1V8 display and PP1V8IO. PP1V8IO is going to be our shorted line, most likely. Let's be sure though, let's look for PP. Oh, if this ends up being just like a conventional little NAND area short, that's gonna be crazy. That is very possible. All right, let's go find out PP1V8IO, which is indeed produced by the PMU over here in this corner that is kind of flashy. And PP1V8IO should be about 0.259. PP1V8IO is, let's see, where does it go? Right here. We're going to go find this guy. PP1V8IO, we're going to measure you on that nice looking spot, which is going to show that it's short. So let's do that. All right. This is going to turn out to be like one of these guys, like a conventional NAND area short, and that's going to just be insane. That'll be like the funniest NAND short ever. All right. I already forgot which one it is. This guy? I feel like it's that guy. All right. PP1V8IO. We got a short to ground on PP1V8IO. Now, I'm going to be pissed if this ends up being like boiled CPU, which is interesting. I wonder if like the solder balls that we saw underneath our PMU, we like kind of got away with. Just like we're like hoping, see how there's like solder balls right here, right here, right there. We're hoping that we've gotten away with that not being overheated CPU. I'm definitely drawing the line at doing CPU transfer right now. All right, so now we have to figure out where is our actual PP1V8IO short. So what we saw getting potentially hot over here in these connectors, let's go back and see what in here is actually PP1V8IO that could be a candidate. So let's go back to ZXW and let's check. All right, so back over here, any of these guys. So over here we have PP1V8 Juliet. So both of these are filters. So a filter going to this capacitor, and then the other guy is a filter going to those two capacitors. And we definitely don't need any of those. All right, so let's what is this for? PP1V8IO going to Juliet. We don't need no Juliet, so let's just get rid of all of those and see if what happens. Actually, why don't we do this? Just for the sake of being clear, let's solder a wire and inject into PP1V8IO, and then we'll be able to like see exactly what the hot spot is. I did want to look up what this really ugly looking guy is though. Who is the ugly looking guy? Ugly looking guy, who are you? You are the neighbor of that. Main. Alright, well Main is definitely fine. I'm going to knock that guy off anyway. Alright, he is now officially deleted. Main. Alright. Where is a good spot to put a wire? On PP1V8IO. So if this guy is getting potentially hot, let's just easily knock off his companion little capacitor just to make sure it's not him. We'll knock that guy off. We're going to just knock this guy off just to eliminate a variable that really doesn't matter. We don't need him at all. Doesn't look like it's going to be him because he doesn't seem like he's very damagey. Just to make sure that we actually still have a problem to solve. And we do. All right. Do I have a wire around here that I could use? Oh, now, see, I should have stopped before putting that PMU on, because now, down the rabbit hole. Gotta go down the rabbit hole. This is gonna have to find a wire. I feel like I keep making my little short detection wires and then lending them out. And then I never see them again. I'm gonna have to go steal one from Mark. So funny, like short detection wire is definitely something that I would see myself ordering on Temu. Have you guys ordered stuff on Temu for Christmas? Here's the funniest thing you can order on Temu. A strip of stickers that say for rectal use only, and just put them everywhere. So funny. Put it on a jar of melatonin gummies at home. Good times. All right, I'm gonna charge my watch while I'm here. Let's take a quick intermission and charge my watch. All right, chat, what do you think is gonna be the cause of our PP1V8i? Is it gonna be the CPU, which is gonna make me break this board in half? Fun to see. Or is it going to be a very straightforward NAND area capacitor, like it almost always is, when you're looking at the board, when you're the first one to look at the board for the very first time? That is pretty classic. So it would be easy to make a jumper wire or to just kind of inject voltage, but I don't think I'll be able to do that and manipulate a camera. How long has it been? Audio. Fixing audio. All right, audio looks like it's working. Back about 2 minutes. NAND is always a good troll. The cap. Hope it's a cap. But what cap? All right, now we're going to stick a wire on here. And we're going to find out if we have a NAND area cap, or is it a CPU, or what is going on by directly injecting into PP1V8IO, our currently shorted line. So let's get it on. One thing we're supposed to watch the Survivor finale. Still watching Survivor in 2023. It's the finale tonight. One thing that I've been making fun of all season long on Survivor is Jeff Probst has like started a catchphrase, "Let's get it on," whenever they, do stuff like a challenge, which is pretty funny, like what it takes to create a network catchphrase. All right, let's get it on. All right, we'll get rid of these little guys. Bend them back. Okay, now we gotta make a place for our alligator clamps to connect to. All right, any plans to move to Texas? Me? Oh, hell no. Hell no. In fact, I was pretty sure that Lewis kind of regrets moving to Texas. Well, maybe, I don't know. Sometimes he does. Sometimes not so much. All right, let's move this. All right. I think that the wire that connects my Rodecaster, so USB-C cable, to the computer is just doesn't like you to touch it. All right, how much electricity, what voltage should I set my DC power on as I connect it here to the board? What voltage? Tell me what voltage I should pick. And I'm going to connect it right there on my alligator clamp, which, let's see, this camera, that's reasonable. All right. And at the 2-hour mark, it's definitely time to clean up this work area because it's gone too crazy. All right, let's get out the Infinarray. All right. 1.0 volts. Says, dude, drones. I think 1.0 volts sounds exactly right, and I'm going to go for that. All right. Let's see what happens. I'm going to touch ground and see, is my shortening? And it is. And we're going to see what's getting hot. Can you see that at all? I can't tell if you can see that or not, so we're going to click. All right, can you see? I'm going to get rid of the front camera so that you guys can see. All right, here you go. All right, now here we go. All right, so what's getting hot in this view is our wire soldered to the capacitor, right? And that's it, just our wire. So now, show us what's getting hot here on this side of the board. It's our little guy up by the connector. Some dude up there. See that? That's it. Right there, see it? All right. Now, to really see that, you guys have watched this for 2 hours. Everyone deserves to see exactly what's going on here. So let's get out our real buddy freeze spray and say, who in here is actually getting hot? So we're looking in this area, and you guys might remember that I think there was nothing there that is PP1V8IO, right? Let's go check. Let's confirm. Yeah, nothing here is PP1V8IO in this area other than a couple of filters. Now, why would a filter be getting hot? This guy's gone. The filter would only be getting hot, in this case, if we are injecting from over here and we're going through the filter because the short is really there, which we've eliminated that possibility because we knocked off that guy. So it really can't be this. Or if this guy's getting hot because really the short is one of these two components that are indeed still there. So that's still a possibility. But let's see if we can actually use some freeze spray to get a bead on exactly what is is our little hot spot. Let's see if that's even possible. Sometimes freeze spray can show us like that super crisp detail. All right, plus it's super fun. And it's Christmas time. Time for some snow. We're gonna just light that up and let it be white Christmas. All right. Okay, here we go. Now let's touch ground. And see what is getting hot. Nothing's really getting that hot. Nothing's getting hot in our area whatsoever at all. Okay, so did you guys see any of that whatsoever? Let's zoom right here. Spray that sucker again. All right, so remember we've got our filter going to the Juliet connector. So just to be clear what we're looking at, this is our filter and these are cap 1 and cap 2 that potentially they look great. Unless there's a little bit, is that a solder bridge right there? Oh, let's find out. Man, that would be crazy if this was just an overheated little solder bridge, you know, right here, right there, and that's the short. Well, let's find out. Okay, freeze and tundra and action. Right there is the thing that melts. Right here. Now let's look. Let's brighten this up. And I'm going to be highly pissed if what's really going on here is a super tiny little piece of solder that is from, you know, the just kind of using heat on this board. That is really going to be insane. All right, so I'm going to grab the board so that I'm holding it flat. Can you see this? Are you seeing this? All right, where's my tweezer? Right here. Oh my God, look at that. Oh my God. Remember how I said this has been heated and that guy fell off? And I was like, oh, this has been heated because this guy was loose. Like if you heat this stuff up, it's the same thing where you can get overheating and blobs. And oh my God. Oh my God, that is what it is. Oh my God. Do you see that? Do you see that? Are you seeing this? That is the exact same thing that we saw under the PMU. That we see these little puckers of solder like just overheating around. And this whole area, remember, was covered, you know, just like this, right? It was all covered up. So how did that little speck of solder get right there, you know, just from heat on these connectors? Oh my God. Can you believe this? That is just crazy. What do you think, chat? Troll bridge. Yeah, this is a troll bridge. Whoops, troll bridge. That's what's going on here now. Can you believe that? In fact, I'm kind of inclined to delete it just to show. God, that's crazy. I'm kind of inclined just to delete it with an iron just to exonerate the poor, misunderstood little filter right there. I don't think I can get under there. It's like too far. All right, that's not an option. All right, zip, zoom out. God, troll bridge that caused me to be dumb enough to replace an underfilled PMU is so stupid. That's it. I'm going to shred my own certificate. All right, I'm just going to get rid of that guy. That is insane. It's so funny, like, if to like go back and just be like this original post, you know, people were commenting on like what could be wrong here with Jeff's board. Never was it, have you looked under the underfill on the top of the board, like nowhere near your Yangtze Tigress area, up on the top by a connector that you don't even need? Have you looked under the underfill for troll bridges? That didn't come up. All right, multimeter. Can you believe that? All right, well done finding that. Thank you very much. And now, crazy. Let's brighten this back up a little bit. Multimeter, what say you? Uh-oh, I'm getting another call. All right, no more short. Troll bridge has been eliminated, just like the people in Survivor. I'm getting in trouble. Hello? Okay, I will be home very soon, and you'll be able to tell that I've left because you'll see the phone I'm working on boot right up on iPad Rehab YouTube channel. Coming soon, because I just found a troll bridge. You can watch 2 hours of video and learn all about it. Okay, bye. All right, let's wrap this up before I get in even more trouble. Let's see. Damn troll. These problems bring us back to Earth. Yeah, well, I'm glad it wasn't an AND area cap. All right, this is really just the kind of stuff that happens with like kind of overworked boards. Now let's find out what's going on with it now. All right, let's see. All right, so Jeff, the reason why your PMU was freaking out is because PP1V8, the brainstem of the whole phone, was unstable. And I don't know if that is the only problem, because that could be one of many similar problems. All right, let's make this less bright, and let's get easy power back, and we'll see if it's in the same state or not. But I think I'm very close to getting in trouble for being seriously overdue here. All right, let's plug the sucker in. Okay, so we still have a 10 milliamp leak, which is not good. Could be anything. We could kind of go look for it. Now let's prompt to boot. Prompting to boot. Prompt to boot. Prompting to boot. All right, so right now it is hanging out at 90 milliamps. 90 milliamps probably means that this phone is in the DFU state, which means I need to confirm that with a charge port, and it's going to have even bigger fish to fry here. But look at that. Our PMU is no longer freaking out. And just for fun, let's go ahead and measure our PP1V8 IO and our PP1V8S2. So let's go over here, measure. All right, so our PP1V8S2 is now 1.8 volts. And our PP1V8IO is also 1.8 volts. So good job, PMU. PMU is doing its job. And I bet you if we measure all of our power rails, they're all going to be okay, because the CPU now is the problem. We have transitioned from a power problem now to a brain problem. All right. Let's see if this phone, if I do have a charge port to just kind of confirm that it is in DFU, which is a typical case. And I don't think I do have a charge port. Where is the 10S charge port? Another sort of relatively unsatisfying problem because it's not done yet. And we would have to try to figure out if, for example, remember way back at the beginning, remember this resistor over here that we were talking about how important this little guy is on the I2C line? Yeah, well, that guy, is he on there? Are we missing I2C1, for example? That would be sort of our next layer of investigation. But right now, I would just like to find out if it is indeed. Maybe I have an iPhone. 10S. No 10S. I don't think I have a 10S charge port around. I don't really think it matters either way. Even if it is not detected in DFU, then I would question why is it not detected in DFU, because I think it should be detected in DFU. All right. I don't think I have a 10S. Let me find out. Let me look around. But that, I think, is going to be our stopping point because I'm getting in too much trouble to work on this anymore. So, Jeff, what was wrong with your iPhone XS? Ultimately, kind of got overworked and it had a troll bridge that was causing PP1V8IO to actually be short. And the PP1V8IO is a very challenging short to find because it did not declare itself with heat. What got hot was PP1V8S2, which is a different line that was not short to ground. So our multimeter told us that it was not short to ground. And we replaced the PMU to rule it out. And then we were able to use the multimeter to figure out what line was short, which was PP1V8IO, and then drilling down to find the tiniest little troll bridge causing that short. All right, so I'm definitely worried about this one because the brain stem of the phone, the top line for all of those ones and zeros, the data, is PP1V8. And since PP1V8 was short to ground this whole time, I'm worried that that caused some brain problems that we're about to find out. All right, so this guy is in the done pile. And I'm going to just find out What happens when I plug in USB? And it is detected in DFU just as predicted. Did you hear that? The do-do-do-do. And if we look over, I don't think I can show you guys iTunes or 3U Tools, but here in 3U Tools, I'm going to say connect. I'm going to just see if I can kick it out of DFU. Will that work? Exit DFU. All right, so exit DFU. It's giving me the I can't go, go flash yourself, etc. All right, so you guys can hear that though. Disconnect, reconnect. Right now, this board is in DFU. And I don't think that it is actually, where is its bottom board? Yeah, it's not a Intel one, so it's not meant to be by default in DFU. It is meant to be in, yeah, this is its native bottom board. Well, all right, so it's supposed to be able to boot up and it's in DFU. That tells us that it has a brain problem. So we would need to go around and do a bunch of brain work, and that I think is definitely not something that we're going to get into now. So hopefully you guys learned something on this one. I think this was a really fun one to teach you how to go about, finding something like a super little tiny problem like that, where the thing that got hot really is a completely unrelated line, right? This line over here had nothing to do with PP1B8IO, which doesn't go through here, right? That's PP1B8S2, completely different guy. And also had nothing to do with Yangtze, which we proved by taking Yangtze off, cleaning up all the stuff that we needed to clean up, and then putting a wire there in the exact same state. And now correcting all of that, fresh PMU, fresh Yangtze, all of these guys are put back, and it is now brain dead. So we would have to go on a pretty serious hunt to try to figure out why it's brain dead, and we might start by asking it if it's just simple software corruption, where we would ask it, can you pass update to preserve data, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I am going to go drink eggnog because now it is time for Gregnog. So go look up the Gregnog recipe and make some eggnog, and Merry Christmas. I will see you next year.